Developed, created, and owned by James PoeArtistry Productions. Perceptive readers, this is the Basic Bible English and New International Version translation reading with introductory comments from me. Psalms 68 verse 5, Deuteronomy chapter 10 verse 18, Psalms chapter 10 verse 14, and Deuteronomy chapter 14 verse 29, and James chapter 1 verse 27. Often when people read the Bible, like the Old Testament or Hebrew scriptures with the prophets, and once they start reading the New Testament or the Greek scriptures, sometimes the Old Testament is forgotten about. Valuable laws and principles that are learned about just how God feels. Even though we do not go through the rituals or animal sacrifices for forgiveness of sins, the way God actually feels about what he stated in these scriptures still apply today. And that's what this reading will help you to see. You will be able to see that all those readings from the Old Testament or statements from God in the Old Testament are wrapped up in a principle that he said again to the Christian congregation. So you can see the Old Testament and New Testament are in harmony. And once again, the difference in the New Testament from the Old Testament, there was laws for quite a few of things. From tithing onward. However, once the Christian congregation was established, remember, it was all based upon love. So you can have the choice of exercising this principle to a very full degree or to what you may feel you can only do, you see, also at the same time. No one is going to say you have to do this 80% or you have to do this 10% or you even have to do this 1%. It depends again upon you and your circumstances. And what we still keep in mind is that God still hears and sees our hearts all the same in how we view the principle, how we exercise it. So there's no competition. Each can do what they can, even if it's just very little. So let's begin the reading, starting with Psalms 68 verse 5. This is from the Basic Bible English Translation Version. And it states, "A father to those who have no father, a judge of widows is God in his holy place." In Deuteronomy chapter 10 verse 18, "Judging uprightly in the cause of the widow and of the child who has no father, and giving food and clothing in his mercy to the man from a strange country." Psalms 10 verse 14, "You have seen it, for your eyes are on sorrow and grief, to take it into your hand. The poor man puts his faith in you. You have been the helper of the child who has no father." Deuteronomy chapter 14, this is James chapter 1 verse 27. Yes, James chapter 1 verse 27, "And give a thought to the Levite who is living among you." Once again, I switched scriptures. In Deuteronomy chapter 14 verse 29, here we go. "And the Levite, because he has no part of or heritage in the land, and the man from a strange country, and the child who has no father, and the widow who are living among you, will come and take food and have enough, And so the blessing of the Lord, your God, will be on you in everything you do. And so now we move to the last verse for this special reading in James chapter 1, verse 27. This is the New International Version. And guess what it says? Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look at orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. This concludes our special reading of orphans, widows, and how God feels about them. You have just listened to the Perceptive Readers Podcast. Remember, until next time, if you read something that encourages you to improve or enhance your life for the better, it becomes your reality.